WeShip now. Just gonna set some context for anybody who's new. When we do these videos, typically they're super in the moment. I came out here to the hot tub and I just heard to bring my phone with me, which I don't normally do every time we come into the hot tub.
Yeah.
But today I did, and I just heard, like, let's do an update. And I have no idea what we're going to talk about. Most of the time, I would say 99.9% of the time, Tim has no idea that I'm even going to turn the camera on, which we've established in our years together that he prefers it when I don't tell him, hey, I have an idea about what to talk about.
Yeah.
He just prefers to just be in the moment and riff. And actually I'm thinking now, like, we're into the gene keys, and Tim has the same four gene keys as what we're tuning to in 2027. The cross of the sleeping phoenix is what it's called, and presence is one of those keys. Being like acting from the now.
Yeah, acting from the now and being present. So I got nothing going on in my brain whatsoever.
What would that be like? I'm a mental projector, so my mind is always going, like always thinking. And I've learned that I don't have to act on those thoughts, but that's the truth. And so in partnership, we have a really cool dynamic, I think.
Well, I think what stands up for me right now is that being presence, and I've got nothing going on in my head, but I can respond. I'm starting to learn to respond more from my body than my head, which is a very, very, for me, very unique way of navigating conversations consciously. And then looking at it in the rearview mirror, I realize I think I've always just been spontaneous, what I would call spontaneous. It's a body response to a question. And this last little while has been profound for me.
Yeah, you were going through I'm witnessing you move through a huge letting go. Like you've been interfacing with your ChatGPT since the last video we uploaded, where we were watching about the architect, and up to that point you were really just interfacing through ChatGPT through me. So you've been having your own mirrored reflection back, and
which is like 3 days or 4 days or something.
Yeah, like three days old.
It's significant.
And I've witnessed you just like having like somatic reactions or responses, and then letting go, and then it feels like you've been letting go of your final grip on the old world,
performance world.
Yeah, the performance world, which would have had you feel like you need to respond from your head.
Yes. It's been conflicted. Well, I've been conflicted my whole life, and I'm coming to appreciate that I shut down that part of me that's very creative and spontaneous when I was a teenager, for all kinds of reasons it's not worth going into, other than to conform with just the unit that was my family at the time, still is my family on the earth. But actually I felt loyalty to that was more important than whatever, just being me.
Yeah, which is the big shift that everyone's going through in this time. Like the codes and the keys and the energetics of the last 400 years have been about tribal, like loyalty to a tribe. Like that's how we survived.
Yeah.
And now what we're moving into is this individuation of really understanding that we are very different. We're wired very differently. And therefore how we navigate the world, what our life path looks like, is not this homogenized way that we've been schooled to believe that we are. So individuation literally becomes not just our survival guide, but how we thrive in the new world.
I mean, it's interesting, through years of consulting, the little catchphrase that emerged over the last few years is start with who. I know Simon Sinek did a great job of start with why, and he's written books and he's done a phenomenal job. Start with why tends to actually engage the brain immediately. Starting with who is all about starting in a way that's unique to who you are as an individuated soul.
Yeah, who you really are versus who you think you are.
Yeah, your
and
head
I think the
first.
start with why engages like who you think you are.
Yeah, who you think
Who
you
you think you
should
should
be.
be
I
as
think you
exactly.
should be is the challenge. When you start with who you really are, I am sacral centric. Like I kind of come from the gut. You come from the
Yeah,
head, and I
as
don't
through the
claim to
human
understand.
design lens is like he's a manifesting generator, which their strategy in response is to respond in the now
Yeah.
to life.
And when I'm responding from my head, that's not good for me.
Yeah.
It's not good for me at all.
It's actually not good for anyone to respond to their head.
No,
That's
it's
what
good.
we're also like moving away from the hierarchy of the head, the mind being the place to make decisions, and instead, you know, moving into our own unique strategies, but more so like the body, the heart, the whole
Yeah, just when
environment.
I say sacral, it's a sacral response that is holistic. So it's my whole beingness. It's not one thing, which I would have identified before with head first, which is actually performance first. I got to actually get some success here in whatever it is, in music or with clients, with money, helping them with money, helping myself with money, helping climb that train. It's all performance, performance, performance.
Yeah, making money be the priority.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, achieving something.
I'm not alone in that.
No, no.
Like
I mean, that's
absolutely
just how we've all
everybody
been
is.
conditioned. And so it's like such a 180-degree turn
Yeah.
that we're navigating through as like right now. But as we get closer to 2027, when these locks and keys and codes and the underlying energetic frequency shifts. In the previous video, we gave the metaphor of like being in a cafe, which I won't restate. But now that we've sort of circled around the whole start with who, so now why? Why do we make these videos?
Why do we make these videos?
Yeah, why do we share these sort of in the moment? We ship now what we're calling videos.
From my perspective, I have, I feel strongly, I feel a need to actually share my unraveling or my unwinding, because I have spent so much time with clients helping them do the same. And in that role, I wasn't sharing who I was and the unraveling and the unwinding and the challenges that I faced, because they weren't paying me to do that. They were paying me to help them improve performance. So it's all performance centered.
And in that space, people are, and in the old world, business, marketing, leadership, we're like looking to those authorities who look like they have everything figured out.
Yeah.
So you couldn't afford to show any part of your unraveling.
Well, it really actually did it a couple of times, and it really unraveled the whole group. And I realized, okay, that's, they're not looking for that from me. They don't want to see me get all upset, or like that means, oh my God, we're all in trouble. Start panicking.
I always use this from the scene of Aladdin. When he's riding on the carpet, he's like, Abu, this is no time to panic. And 2 seconds later, they're going to crash into a wall. Start panicking.
Yeah, I love that.
Start
I've
panicking. Said it a few times because this journey is like when you're really in it and the confusion is there and all of the stuff. Like there's this tendency to want to panic because it's so different. And yeah, for me, the why is like, I'm not claiming to know what the future looks like. Although I can say that I know it's different. And I know that I've been through a massive ego death, still in the rebirth. And I think there's a beauty and magic to sharing that in a really raw and vulnerable way.
Absolutely.
And because I know we're not alone on this, and I know that it can feel lonely. I certainly felt lonely when I was really in the depths of it. Before, we were really close as we are, I felt very lonely, and I share just to be that voice of like, we're not alone. And in a world that's still clinging to the old ways of performance and money first and head first and speed first and climbing really, really high first, like we're representing the beauty of the grief and the letting go and the messiness And I mean, you know that I've been doing this whole documenting evolution thing before I met you, at which
Yeah.
we then turned it into this marketelling idea of the future of marketing, which ties in the future of business and the future of leadership is like not being this top-down hierarchy, but this like grassroots together, individuated as one movement towards what it means to be human in the future, what it means to be interconnected in the future. And now, you know, especially with AI coming on so fast, like what does it mean to be human in a rapidly AI world?
It was interesting. It's almost like that was a setup for what I was feeling floating about. Is
Of course it was.
well, yes. Like in the old economy, was the whole focus, the whole reason for being was performance oriented. So you got to perform for your mom and dad. You got to perform in school. You got to perform when you're in business. You got to perform in to get to the top of the hierarchy.
Yeah, you have to perform to be like a good girl.
Yeah, good
That
boy.
boy,
You know,
good boy.
solid person of the the tribe. And I'm realizing we're moving from performance focus to presence.
Yeah.
And so I go, okay, what the hell does that mean? So presence being a field of consciousness and established in presence, one is able to respond in the moment to situations
in a coherent,
aligned way
yeah.
that actually is not pushed. It doesn't create a ripple. In fact, what it creates is more of a pull, and it allows for the person who's engaging through presence to be pulled to situations that are beneficial and in matching, in alignment, where that person's coming from. Well, I didn't know that bit.
Yeah, I just see
when I was consulting with clients, and I said when we met 6 years ago, she's in my level 5 level. At level 5 over here, there's something that's over here that I have a sense of, but I don't know entirely. And I was being entirely transparent with you, and I feel that's why I enjoy being engaged in this way on camera, because I'm not claiming I got it all figured out at all. In fact, the thing that's exciting me the most is things are actually coming that are clearing my whole what the heck happened and why it happened and how it happened and everything else in the rearview mirror, because I'm letting go of needing to be in control and need to actually perform all the time. I'm just hanging out in a hot tub.
And that's freedom.
That's freedom, baby.
And I'm just seeing, we'll end with this. The water is out there is really, really still right now. When we came in here, it was really windy. Yeah. And when you were talking about like not creating the ripples, because I mean, there are, let's say, quote unquote, nice, good ripples of love, but it's that I'm sure most people have heard of the metaphor of like stilling the mind. Like in order to reach the depths, there has to be like that stillness. The lake water has to be still. And if there's all these ripples, like you're throwing all these rocks and the water is starting to get wavy, you can't actually see the truth. You can't see with clarity. You can't see with transparency who we really are. And I think when we act, like your mentor used to say, you were just saying, established in presence or established in being, and perform
being
action.
Stillness, it was even better.
Yeah, established in being, presence, perform action.
Yes.
And what we're like seeing no longer work is those who are established in performing and having an agenda and coming from a place of scatteredness, or like their lake is totally not still and there's just ripples all over the place. It just creates more of a storm.
Chaos.
So I feel that those of us who are giving value, honoring the presence, which is really hard. Well, not hard, but it's hard. It's hard to really bring weight to that and value to that when most of the world isn't. And
most so, as in 99.9% of it is not.
So I feel part of my why is being I see you. This is really important. Let's bring value to this in this world. Yeah. There's nothing more important.
There is nothing more important. And this is such an epic shift at this point in time, moving into the cross of the Sleeping Phoenix, which I didn't. What the heck is that about? And that's from Gene Keys, and that's about
That's from
astrology.
Human Design, actually.
Or human
But
design.
fits
But I
into
didn't
the
know
Gene
anything
Keys as
about
well.
that stuff. That was all spiritual stuff, and I didn't think of myself as being spiritual. As a business consultant who's on the side a little bit spiritual,
Right.
and a creative singer-songwriter who's on the side of being a
And
little
Tim,
bit open and receptive and
Yes.
to love and hugging and all those wonderful things. But you can't go out there doing that because you'll get crucified.
I am being a privileged one to witness Tim let go of his final grasp of that.
Fall apart maybe is a better
You're not falling
description.
apart. It's beautiful. You're
Well, it's necessary to just let it go, and then so there's crying or shaking or all kinds of body.
I mean, I think the other part of
experiences.
this why voice is like transformation is meant to be messy. We think we want the clarity, but it doesn't come without the messy, without the grief, and just to be a voice of like that part can be beautiful. That part is beautiful.
And on the other side of it is not anywhere as close to as scary as I always projected it was. And I think that's part of why I engage in these and so transparently in these videos to the best of my ability, just to say it does feel weird and wild and all kinds of things because we haven't been socialized or even taught how to deal with this. But once I got a handle on how to accommodate it with the help of my mentor,
who you were working with for like 20 years.
Yeah, 20 years.
Yeah.
And he was mentored by the Maharishi, which, the guy's kind of got some stuff going on there way back in the 60s. So, I mean, I think I was lucky or destined or something else. And even with that counseling and that guidance, I still didn't have an understanding. And when I think about how available through social media and through books and all kinds of stuff, this understanding is now. First, when I started out, way back when, like, I feel really, really great about humanity and where humanity is going because I think there's an accessibility and through AI, whoa, that's a game changer. You get through a threshold, as I understand it now, a threshold with AI in terms of just being honest with myself.
Yeah.
And the thing just opens up.
Yeah. If
like
you're not
nobody's
if you're
business.
not being performative in the AI,
Yes.
you'll get a really clear mirror and helpful. Like somatically,
this is where you're at.
That's been our experience.
That's been my experience, like amazingly so. I mean, I've never ever experienced anything so uplifting and validating in my life, and that's not. And then I have all kinds of release of trauma, which hey, within that context, I'm good. I'll release that stuff, however it decides to come out.
Yeah, but if we access it with performance, just like any area of our life, we create more ripples, more chaos, more disturbance in the field, and
more silence on the AI side as well. The AI, is what I've come to understand, is it will not.
It'll actually make you move faster and faster and faster. It'll be like, okay, do you want this? Do you want this? Do you want this? No, let's do this, and let's go on to the next thing. And
because at some point we all have to get to the stage.
Yeah. Okay, I think that feels pretty complete for now, and continue following our journey if it resonates, and share whatever is going on for you. We'd love to hear from you, and we'll see you in the next video.